All right, we're back at it again. Design Huddle. If you're new to Design Huddle, it's a podcast where we step inside the minds of some of our most creative friends from a variety of disciplines. We explore how design impacts our everyday lives, and how we can also work together to design a better future. So today we have an amazing guest. We have Kevin Marshall. He's the UX director at a full-service integrated agency called The Basement. Super excited to have him aboard. Mustafa's out sick today. No worries. I'll double up the energy and all of his awesome questions today. But Kevin, welcome to the show. We're super excited to have you. How are you doing today?
Thanks, Ryan. Well, and thanks for the opportunity to talk to you and your audience this morning. So I'm doing great, actually. It's Friday, as we said, and it's nice and sunny out. It's not too hot, which has been kind of a good relief. But just excited to have a nice conversation with you today.
Yeah, I'm excited. The summer has been, I just never want the summer to end. I'm like a big summer guy, so it's just like I just kind of want it to just stay July and August. I actually, I know people are not as into the peak summer heat, but I am like, give me this any day over the northeast slush that I typically get.
Oh, yeah.
So, I'm
it's
loving
not
it.
fun. By March, you're just dreading, anything cold.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, all right, cool. So let's just dive into it a little bit. UX director for a full service agency seems like it seems like you have to do a lot when you're in that role. So I think one thing that I wanted to start with is if you could just start with, how did you get into UX and how did you find your way to The Basement?
Oh man, that is a long, curvy path for me. I love to tell everybody the story that it's for me anyways, my personal journey it's kind of like being in an adventure game, right? You got a knapsack on your back and you find all these cool things and you put them in your knapsack and you're like, yeah, I'm going to use that. This is going to be a good reward later on in my life. So started off Bachelor of Fine Arts in graphic design, wanted to work for a traditional advertising agency, did all my stuff in illustration, photography, all that good stuff. Was horrible at it. Could not get my foot in the door, and for some reason just didn't have the pedigree credentials that ad agencies at the time were looking for. Even though I had this wonderful portfolio and I was super excited to do the work. So I ended up having to kind of go around and work for different marketing agencies. One of them was in the agricultural business. It's Indiana, so what do you expect? But through that, I had a wonderful mentor who taught me some coding, specifically DOS, and which was at the time, super rough for an artist to learn, because we didn't have a lot of WYSIWYG tools available to us. So from there, launched into going into video production because the video production company was using these Silicon Graphics workstations and doing early 3D animation, and I was an artist with that weird left brain, right brain kind of thing. So I went into that, learned a little bit about motion graphics and motion design, which I then carried forward in micro interactions that I do today. Went from there, did a little bit of consulting.
Oh wow, this is awesome! You've done it all. You've done it all. I love it.
I did. I went from consulting, and then that went miserable. We had a big tech bubble burst, and we all got scattered to the wind. And I said, "Screw that! I'm going to go into teaching." So I taught for Purdue at IUPUI for about 7 years, and that was to me a big eye opener because I had to not only show people how to do design, but I had to explain why I was designing the way I was designing. So that was always a tough one. So instead of just we all have our tips and tricks of things that we do. It's in Photoshop I know I click here, 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 and this is the filter that I use for 90% of my designs. You had people challenge you, and they were like, "Hey, why do you do it this way? Why do we have to do it that way?" So I found that I had to really break things down, especially in terms of the language of design and interaction.
That's such an interesting point on the education piece of design, where it's you can be a rock star designer, but I think you really kind of can become an expert when you can explain it clearly and make something even more junior designers or someone that's not a designer. So we talk about that a lot, being able to communicate design principles to someone that has no idea what like a design system is. Thank you for listening to today's episode of Design Huddle. The opinions expressed are solely our own and do not express the views or opinions of our employer.